You have to be willing to take some kind of risks that people will criticize you to move our society's understanding of itself further. My name is Barry Schwartz. I'm a college professor in the United States, and I teach psychology. I've been doing that for almost 40 years now, and I deeply value education and thoughtfulness and creating a world in which resources and opportunities are more equally distributed among people than is currently the case in the world we now live in. I guess I have always been interested in what role psychology can play in answering what I think is the most important question, which is how should people live their lives? And it's not a question that tends to get asked by social sciences because it's a question of value. You know, how should people live their lives? That means that there's a right way and maybe a wrong way, and social scientists are very reluctant to talk about what people should do. They're much more interested in talking about what people do. Mm-hmm. But it always has seemed to me that that's really an evasion of responsibility. Yeah. So within psychology, that's always been what has interested me. What are the kinds of choices that people should make? What is the kind of society that people should construct for themselves? And so on. So my interest in what led to the book, The Paradox of Choice, is that we have completely adopted the view of the world that economists have. And I think it's an incredibly destructive view of the world. But so then the question is, why do people find it attractive? And I think one reason that people find it attractive is that it emphasizes the importance of freedom of choice. Instead of having the government give you what's good for you, you let the market provide it. And if you want it, somebody will sell it to you. And if nobody wants it, then nobody sells it. So we have complete freedom of choice, and the market is designed to cater to all of that. That assumes that the more choice we have in life, the better off we are. Yeah. And if that's true, then there's some justification for organizing society around a market. But what if that's not true? I think that we've all got the capacity for that. But I think that there are lots of pressures on us to inhibit that. So if you stand up, there's a danger that somebody is going to knock your head off. If you stay down and protect yourself, then nothing dramatically good happens, but nobody comes after you. So being safe is the way most of us live our lives, and it doesn't take a huge step to get out from under this desire to be safe and make small gestures in the direction of doing the right thing that then other people may bring other people along. Well, so there are a few things actually that this work that I'm now doing, this book I'm trying to finish about wisdom, has led me to pay attention to things going on around me that I otherwise would have ignored. So at the TED meeting last year where I talked about wisdom, there were two talks that were extremely inspiring to me. One was by this guy named Ray Anderson, who makes carpet tile, which is what we see in most industrial buildings, and he's made a fortune. He makes, I guess, a third of the world's carpet tile. And one day, I don't know how it happened, he asked himself, do I want to leave my grandchildren millions of dollars and a planet they can't live on, or do I want to do something to make the planet better? And he decided that he wanted to stop being part of the problem and completely change the production process so that with the aim of creating what's called a zero environmental footprint eventually. And people thought it was crazy and that it was economically not feasible and so on. And he was willing to take the economic hit by doing it. He was committed to doing it. And what he discovered is that he ended up with a business that was even more profitable, partly because his workforce was so inspired by this new mission, which was to create sustainable product, that they worked unbelievably hard and unbelievably well. So this, it struck me, was a case where you inspire people to be part of a vision that is larger than just next week's paycheck, and people produce great things. So that, you know, that to me was an inspiration, and I don't think he had any grand vision that he was going to change the world. He wanted to do his little piece, and he certainly didn't expect that his employees would sign on. You know, he figured that they would still be working for their weekly paycheck, but it transformed the company, and, you know, by himself, it doesn't do anything to fix society, but if people look at a story like that and see it as a model for how they can engage in their commercial activities, that could transform society. So that's a small, that's what I mean by small acts of ordinary heroism. My hope is that the economic crisis that was and still is a real crisis can have the positive effect of getting people to think carefully about what's important in life and to change priorities. I think we have been way too focused in the developed world on material progress, and we've cast aside all kinds of other values that are much more important. And if it really, the crisis really was a signal that the times have changed, and we can't live the way we have, and we can't assume that we will continue to get richer and richer and richer, then we have to start looking at, you know, what kind of relations should I have with other people? What can I do to improve the lives of other people? How can I make the quality of my social relations better, instead of how can I get a bigger car or a faster car?